What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Ginger back with another video. Today we'll be reacting to Five Nights at Fat Camp by Val. Now, not to waste any time, let's get into it now, shall we?
Story is purely fictional. Any and all characters, places, or objects were made up and just used for the purpose of storytelling. Please do not sue me. So this story takes place during the summer, right before I went to high school. My mom pulls me and my siblings into her room for a surprise. But instead of showing us, our new PS5, some express passes to Disney World, or,
Yo, I love this humor.
anything that children would normally enjoy, she instead showed us 4 one-way tickets to go to summer camp. And after looking at the fine print, we quickly realized that it wasn't just any ordinary summer camp, it was a fat camp. Looking back at this, I'm just realizing how kind my siblings are, because at the time, none of my mom's kids were even remotely fat, except for me. But none of them even said anything, which is crazy because if the roles were reversed and I had to spend 1 month of my life in some ugly ass camp because my siblings couldn't put the food down, oh, I'd be protesting like my human rights were on the line.
I love it. It's so funny.
But regardless of the reason, we all hopped on a plane, did the mandatory weigh-in, and changed it to camp-appropriate attire. We also had to give up all of our devices, so no phones, no iPads, no laptops, you couldn't use anything.
Oh no, I'd be melting. I'd generally be baked. It would have been over. I would have been cooked. My brain would have stopped. My brain would have stopped functioning.
While at the camp. Now, with this being my first time ever camping, I thought it would be a smart idea to check out the living arrangements. Pause real quick. I need to emphasize how I have never gone camping before, so please do not judge me. But just imagine my horror and confusion when I saw this instead of
I've never gone camping either, but this right here, I don't think I will anymore.
a mattress. The beds are bare. No sheets, no blankets, no pillows, nothing. Now, luckily, my mom had
I would have disintegrated, bro. I would have disintegrated. Matter of fact, editor, put a pause counter right here. Just starting now.
left yet, mainly because my baby brother was too busy being a mama's boy and crying every single time my mom attempted to leave, so I was able to ask her to drive to go pick up some bedding from the nearby Walmart. Now, this may seem kind of irrelevant, no one is watching a Fat Camp vid to see the sleeping conditions, but hold on, I'm gonna get to it. Since the
Hey, who said we was? Who said we weren't?
camp is separated by gender, my sister and I decided to go to the campfire area and find our cabin counselors and bunkmates. I'm gonna call the cabin counselors Miss B and Miss Rachel, and shout out to y'all because you were real heroes. You still have my phone number. If you want to hit me up, call me. And as for my bunkmates, we're gonna call them Meg, Lily, Cam, and Betty. So as we're saying our hellos, I immediately noticed that Lily has wired headphones on. And I'm kind of confused how she's using wired headphones if we all had to give our phones up before we enter the camp. So as I'm trying to ask her how she snuck those in, she immediately takes my hand and leads me to the back of some random cabin and starts drilling me.
Pause. Personally, where's your iPod? Cause like, I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. Matter of fact, here we go. I'm not saying that to be disrespectful, but I would have had an iPod on me. Cause no, I would have generally disintegrated if I had to deal with this. I would have generally had to disintegrate. Like I could not live in these conditions. I could not. And like I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that to be like mean or something. But like Bro, if you coming out this, how you gonna see the window? Like, bro, somebody get a 3D modelist in here for the love of God.
You would have thought we were in The Walking Dead, the way she is quizzing me right now on camp knowledge. Do you know about the food situation here? No, I just got to camp like 3 minutes ago. Okay, what about your workout cycle? Have you picked out a rotation yet? My rotation? Pause real quick. I didn't know this at
Bro, at this point, you might as well pause more than me.
the time, but apparently our camp was super popular since it got featured in an infamous MTZ show. But since I wasn't really aware of any of that, I just thought that Lily was tweaking out. But she takes a quick look at my arm and she peeps the wristband they gave me on the way in. You see how yours is red? You only get 1 serving of food at meal times. Anyone with a green wristband can go back for seconds. But honestly, I'd be shocked if you even want to eat past the first round. Pause!
We get it!
Okay, so I'm not trying to be rude when I say this, but as I'm hearing Lily talk, I kind of wasn't taking her too seriously. Because trust on the way in, I noticed that the camp was 99.9%. Yeah, and if you couldn't tell by my little character, I am in fact... So even though Shawty was tweaking, I was thinking she was one of those kids who would unironically sing,
I am not afraid. I am from Connecticut.
but in retrospect, Shawty was really just trying to do... How, you may be wondering? I'm glad you asked. So say if you were going to something like fishing camp, right? How many hours do you think you would dedicate to learning how to fish?
0?
I'm thinking 3, maybe 4 hours max. You know, enough to just learn something new every day, but not enough to burn out. So that's how I thought this fat camp would be. A few hours outside, doing some exercise, a break to talk about nutrition or maybe a cooking class, and then the rest of the time can be spent doing whatever it is normal people do at summer camp. But boy, I couldn't have been more wrong. Let me tell you how our actual camp schedule was. Every day, you wake up and do 2 straight hours of exercise. Then you go eat, quote unquote, breakfast. After that meal, you do
Quote unquote with question marks above her head. What they feed her? Mystery?
3 more hours of various exercises, followed by, quote unquote, lunch. You'd get
What are they feeding you for you to be saying quote unquote, bro?
no downtime and are immediately rushed into 3 more hours of exercise before, quote unquote, dinner. And after you eat, you go to this mandatory 1 hour long camp meeting in this random barn where half the people are either falling asleep or sneaking
Whoa, editor, you know what to do again, bro.
out to go smoke by the lake. And before I get back to the plot, let me give you an example of something that we would be served to fuel us for a grueling fusion of soup, scrambled eggs, tea, milk, 1/2 of a gluten-free bagel, and some sugar-free jello. Mind you, it's not like we get to eat all of these options. We had to pick which one we get to eat. And you can't go back for seconds unless you were at your target weight and had the little green wristband. And that's because the goal of this camp wasn't for you to learn how to healthily lose weight and keep it off, but rather to make every camper lose the most amount of weight in the shortest amount of time humanly possible.
I don't think that's healthy. He's probably gonna say that, but I don't think that's healthy.
By making us burn so many yet consume so little calories that our bodies would be forced to drop weight in the few weeks we spend there. But middle school me did not know any of this at the time, so I just decided to cut her off from her Katniss Everdeen head-eye explanation because, to be honest, I was tired and didn't want to hear all that yap. Yo, so I saw you have an iPod. How'd you manage to get that in here? We're allowed to have
See, bro, I knew it was one of those.
electronics. As long as they don't have screens or Wi-Fi, I just use this to play music. Oh really? What do you have downloaded? Any rap in there? Any nigga? A whole Hamilton playlist. And for many of you, I know this would have been a deal breaker, but for me being the
A deal breaker, girl. Alexander.
black nerd that I was geeked. So I took one of her earbuds, put it in my ear, and we just sat there listening to music. And this moment,
I'm not gonna blank, 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 blank. I'm not blank, 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 blank. I'm not blank, 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 because I can't say that because of copyright, but like, wish I could, man. I wish I could. W. Hamilton.
this was the true calm before the storm. Just me and Lily chilling and listening to my shot. And at the time, I thought, you know what? Camp really could not be that awful. Cause come on, how bad could
Only if she knew that she was actually going to have to deal with something far worse. Videos that's like by myself, made by me, bro. What are you doing here? I'm sorry, bro. Oh, yeah, I'll go. Yeah, get out.
this possibly be? Second day in this place. Tell me why my big sis Chantel is literally having a deadly allergic reaction. Because despite telling all of the camp staff that she's allergic to dairy, they decided to serve her tomato soup with milk in it. So as I'm watching this, my big sister literally dying, my other younger brother, Philly, he comes over to check out the situation. And I see that his hair looks like he's been shot by lightning. Boy, what happened to you? Oh.
They really had to sneak it in they had to sneak in a blue blur reference. Dang, bro. I wish they let me say his actual name.
Oh yeah.
W. Sega though. I still love the company.
The people in my bunks and my hair look like sheep's wool, so they started picking at it like a petting zoo.
Yo.
In the span of 24 hours, my sister nearly died and my brother's fresh cut was washed. But on the brighter side, the days following were actually really good. At least for me personally. I can't speak for them. I was enjoying my time there. The exercises were pretty fun and all the other campers were super supportive. So yeah, I didn't really know what all of that was about, but I genuinely didn't really want to know because me personally, I like to mind my own. But outside of that little awkward moment, my sister nearly dying and my brother's cut literally getting completely ruined, my first week of camp was going pretty well. On like the 5th day, I had gotten in good with Lily and Betty, and we were talking at dinner time. Dude, we have to skip the meeting tonight. What? Why? Because every other Friday, the camp owner comes down and gives a super obnoxious speech that always leaks into free time. Pause real quick, I forgot to mention. Free time is like an hour after the evening meetings. So right after we leave the barn, we get like 1 hour of freedom where we can kind of do whatever. If we don't skip, we'll have to sit for the whole 2 hours. And when I tell you, these meetings were already so mind-numbingly boring, with just the counselors leading it. I couldn't imagine if the owner of the camp were to go for double the airtime with 0 break. So I agreed to ditch with them, and instead we go down by the lake, just gossiping and playing games for the first hour. But as time is passing, my consciousness starts to kick in. If you don't get back in that barn, you know you have an African mom. Both of these girls have...
Whoa! Wow. Yeah, I'm sorry, editor, but
white moms, get back there. And for anyone out there with a Nigerian mom, you know that she is not to be messed with. So out of a
that is correct. Matter of fact, editor, play the correct theme song in 3, 2, 1.
born sense of duty and pride, and mostly a fear of authority, I tell my girls I'm gonna go back for the
Whoa. Once again, editor, you know what to do.
evening meeting. And as I'm getting close to the back of the barn, I can still hear the insidious yap fest inside ensue. So I try to get close to the front doors and just pretend that I had been lost or sick the entire time, and that I wasn't really just trying to skip. So there I am, sneaking my way to the back of the barn, when all of a sudden, I hear the craziest sounds coming from around the corner. And despite my better judgment that typically tells me to mind my own, and you know, I don't support him, don't free R. Kelly, please, but I just gotta do something real quick. Close to the corner, I'm approaching the corner, peek around the corner, now I'm turning the corner. Now pause the story, cause what I'm about to tell y'all is so damn twisted. Not only was
I love the passion she has.
this Rachel skipping her and her girl, they was kissing.
What? Pause, what was that laugh, bro? Nah, the editor, stop, bro, stop.
Kissing, 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 kissing. Wow, I cannot sing to save my life. I cannot wait to hear that back. But yeah, this is my first video. I'm so sorry for both your eyes and ears, because the quality of this is probably about to be so poor. But I've been trying to make a video since January, I think, probably earlier than that. And I
Pause. The quality on this video was absolutely amazing, girl. Don't bother hitting yourself.
just realized at a certain point that perfection is the true enemy of progress. So I'd rather put out something that's kind of straight cheeks than wait any further and delay.
You know, that's true. My 5-day animation video.
What could have been. But yeah, you know, if you want a part 2, which I probably will make regardless, but if you do want one, please leave a like, subscribe, leave comments. Please give me any tips to improve, but you know, it only gets better from here, so you know, stick around to at least see that. And yeah, okay. Until next time.